Ben Simmons, the best player in the NBA. Ben Simmons, the best player in the NBA. I say that with confidence. Regardless of his stats lately, he's still the best player in the NBA. Now, he also, believe it or not, is the best three-point shooter in the NBA. 2 for 2 from the arc. 100%. Hasn't missed. I'm not talking about half-court heaves to end the quarter or to end the half. I am talking about legit three-pointers from the arc. Ben Simmons is 2 for 2. And if you count the preseason, he's actually 3 for 3 from the arc. So he's the best three-point shooter in the NBA right now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is better than Steph Curry. He shoots better than... Who else is a top shooter right now? I can't think for some reason. Only because the only person I'm thinking about is Ben Simmons because he's the best player in the NBA. Now, all jokes aside, the best player in the NBA right now, to be honest, is probably... I don't want to say James Harden because he's a ball hog, you know what I mean? He gets, 30, 40 points a game, but he's shooting 45, 50 times, you know what I mean? It's not like Klay Thompson, who last year or 2 years ago, he had 62 points and he only dribbled 3 times on each shot, and he had a great field goal percentage, you know what I mean? But the best player is probably LeBron or Giannis right now. I can even say Anthony Davis, but I'm going to say LeBron or Giannis. They both are scoring at will. It doesn't matter who's guarding them, they're going to score. And Giannis is getting scary because he's starting to shoot. Giannis is starting to shoot the ball. So it's starting to get scary in the NBA for a player who is guarding Giannis, because now not only do you have to worry about him dunking on your head, you also have to worry about him shooting the ball if he's open. Not even if he's open. There's a couple games where he's shot the ball with a hand in his face. But let's get back to the best team in the NBA, the 76ers. Now, the 76ers are currently 8-7. They're 13-0 at home. And 5 players on their team has scored 30 points. That's the most in the NBA. I remember when the season started, I told everyone that the Sixers have the best team. When I say team, I mean everybody on their team, or at least their starting 5, is going to average double digits a game. And they have. They're one of the few teams in the NBA that I want to say almost every game, the starters have all had double-digit points. I think there's only 1 time or 2 times where the starters on the 76ers didn't have double digits. Everybody on the Sixers starting 5 always gets 10 or more points a game. Always. They're number 4 in the Eastern Conference, and Ben Simmons is number 1 in steals per game. Matisse Thybulle is starting to become my favorite Sixer. He plays great. And the thing is, him and Ben were top 3 in steals, but Brett Brown had a period of time where he wasn't playing Matisse that much, and so that dropped his average steals down. But every time Matisse is in the game, he's averaging 2 steals at least. So he's going to get you 2 steals or more a game. So by the end of the season, Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle are both going to be in the top 5 for steals by the end of the season. Right now, Ben's number 1, Jimmy's number 2, and surprisingly, James Harden is number 3. I don't know how, but he is. The Sixers are number 6 overall in the NBA. It goes the Milwaukee Bucks, Los Angeles Lakers, Boston Celtics, who else is in that? It goes Milwaukee Bucks, Los Angeles Lakers, the Boston Celtics, I don't know why I can't think right now, but I know that the 76ers are number 6. Now, what I'm going to talk about is how they could be top 3 team. The problem with that is we had a great start. We started off 5-0. I was so excited. I said, "Oh my goodness, we're 5-0. We're going to have a great season. Then we lose 3 games in a row, win 2, lose 2. So we go from 5-0 to 7-4 within a week. And everybody was, oh my goodness, the Sixers suck. I'm not going to lie. As the Sixers' biggest fan, or one of the biggest fans, I will say, I said to myself when that happened, the Sixers are horrible. But the problem is, and not so much the problem now, but the problem was Brett Brown. He even said it before the season. He said the team won't gel together until about Christmas time. And the way they're playing now in the month of December, they are looking better. But yeah, in the beginning of the year, Brett Brown didn't know who he was playing, who to play. There was a period of time where he had Trey Burke playing a lot of minutes. Then the next week, Neto was playing a lot of minutes and Trey Burke didn't even get any playing time at all. The problem with Brett Brown that I had, and still have sometimes, is that he doesn't realize who he has. Because how can you start... Josh Richardson was hurt for 7 games. How can you start Furkan Korkmaz and not Matisse Thybulle? They say, oh, because he's a rookie. No, because last year we had Landry Shamet starting, and he was doing well. He tied the record for most threes in the Sixers franchise with 9 as a rookie. So I don't want to hear, oh, because Matisse is a rookie. That's not the problem. Furkan thinks that, not Furkan. Brett Brown thinks that Furkan is J.J. Redick. Now, since J.J. Redick has left, he's trying to transform him into J.J. Redick. But right now, at this very moment, Furkan is not J.J. Redick. He is starting Furkan thinking that he's going to get all these threes and, you know what I mean? No, it's not going to happen. Also, think about this. Matisse Thybulle was a first-round pick who was an NCAA Defensive Player of the Year. He averaged, not even average, he has the most steals in the NCAA. He beat Gary Payton's record. And you're not going to start him because we don't know why. But now he's starting to realize that Matisse is better than Furkan. Let me think. We just played the Nuggets last night, and 2 days before that we played the Raptors. Matisse had a career night against the Raptors, hitting 5 threes, and he had 3 steals. Against Denver Nuggets, he had 2 steals and 3 3-pointers. And a dunk. The dunk that he had was ridiculous. He's starting to realize that he's better than Furkan, which is why he's getting more minutes now. But he should have noticed this. When we went 5-0, there was a stat that said when Matisse Thybulle plays 15 or more minutes, or it might have been 20 or more minutes, the Sixers were 7-0. Something like that. Then Brett Brown started sitting him out just because Furkan had that game where he hit the game winner against the Trailblazers. That's when he started getting a lot of playing time, and Matisse was on the bench, only getting about 5 to 10 minutes for about 4 games in a row. And that's when we went on that losing streak. As soon as Matisse gets back in the lineup, we start winning. Why? Because he brings energy and defense off the bench. He needs to start. Now, Josh Richardson came back last night against the Nuggets, so I'm guessing he's back in the starting lineup. Furkan can still play because he can shoot, don't get me wrong, but he's not better than Matisse, and Brett Brown has to realize that. Another problem with that is he also doesn't use all of his players. Mike Scott signed a 2-year deal because he wanted to stay in Philly. But because now, like I said, Brett Brown is getting better at it. Before Mike Scott was probably getting 5 to 10 minutes a game. You can't do anything with 5 to 10 minutes a game. Now he's starting to realize that he needs to play his players more. Against the Cavaliers, Mike Scott came out of his shooting slump and hit 4 threes. The Raptors, he hit 2 threes. I forgot how many points he had. And in the game against the Nuggets last night, I think he hit 2 or 3 threes as well. Because he needs more minutes. You can't... I like James Ennis off the bench. He's getting more minutes than Mike Scott. I don't know why. But he needs to play Trey Burke more. And he needs to play Neto a little bit more as well. Because Ben Simmons is getting all these minutes and only getting 7 points. Which is frustrating me so much. Against the Cavaliers, let's go to that real quick. Against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Ben Simmons only played 26 minutes, but he had a career night with 34 points. He went to the line 12 times. He shot 12 for 14, hit a 3, 2 mid-range jump shots, and had 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 26 minutes. Why can't he do that every game? That frustrates me. Ben Simmons could be the best player in the NBA but only if he decides to be. Sometimes he comes out and he plays aggressively, and then the next game it's like, oh, I'm going to take a break. No, Ben Simmons, you have to play that aggressive every game. Going to the line 12 times and then finally shooting the ball. I was so happy when I was watching that game. But he needs to do that against every team. I'm telling you right now, if Ben Simmons did that every game, I'm not saying we would be undefeated, but we would not have lost 7 games right now. We probably would have only lost about 3 or 4. Because there's games where Ben Simmons hasn't done anything and then we lost. For example, I'm trying to figure out who we played against. Oh, we lost to the Wizards. Now, if you look at his stats against the Wizards, you say, oh, he actually had good stats. No. He still wasn't aggressive enough for me. He had 7 turnovers, along with Joel Embiid having 8 turnovers. I'm going to get to that later on. And then we lost. Ben Simmons has to realize that he is 6'10", 240 pounds. He needs to go to the rim, and if he's open, he needs to shoot the ball. The reason why he turns the ball over so much is because teams know when he goes to the rim, he's looking to pass. Even commentators say in the game, when Ben Simmons is going to the rim, he's not even looking at the basket. So the opposing team is saying, okay, I'm going to just fill the passing lanes. So when Ben Simmons passes the ball, he gets a turnover because they're stealing it. He needs to realize, okay, if I'm going to the rim, I'm going to the rim to score it. Or if I'm open, I need to shoot it. Because he's so big and so aggressive, but he doesn't play like it. He's actually having a worse season so far than last year. Last year, he was averaging 16 a game. Right now, they have his average at only 10. It's horrible. He needs to realize that he's Ben Simmons, and he needs to score. Now, that against the Nuggets last night should have been our 8th win in a row, but that Wizards loss really messed us up. I have no idea how we lost to the Wizards. Actually, yes I do. And I'm going to talk about that. Right now, the Wizards are probably the worst team, one of the worst teams in the NBA. Now, the Cavs are the worst team in the NBA. The Wizards are way better than the Cavs. But there's no way we should have lost to the Wizards.
The freaking Wizards!
We lost to the Wizards because Ben Simmons had 7 turnovers and Joel Embiid had 8. That's a total of, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 turnovers by 2 people. The Wizards team only had 11. Your 2 star players had more turnovers than the whole entire opposing team. There's something wrong with that. And that's where I said Brett Brown has improved. Because in that game, you're asking yourself, okay, I know Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are the best players on the team, but you gotta take them out. If I was a coach, I don't care who you are, if you have that many turnovers, you're coming out the game. You're costing us the game. And literally, against the Wizards, they cost us the game. You can't have 8 turnovers. The problem with Joel Embiid is that he thinks he's a point guard sometimes. The 1 turnover he caused against the Wizards, he was dribbling up the court carelessly, and someone came up behind him and stole the ball. I was so frustrated. He needs to realize that he's not a point guard, and he also needs to get more aggressive as well. He's probably the best big man in the league, but wants to shoot the ball as if he's Steph Curry. You're 7 foot, almost 300 pounds. You need to get in the paint and dunk the ball. Every time you get in the paint, your thought process should be dunk the ball. He needs to watch Shaquille O'Neal highlights, because Shaquille O'Neal didn't care who was guarding him. He was going to dunk on you regardless. He was giving you 30 points. It's just ridiculous. I know that they're double teaming him every time he touches the ball, but there's so many times where he just shoots the ball instead of trying to go to the rim and get fouled. I just don't understand it. But against the Wizards, we lost because of them. Now, we trashed the Cavaliers, then we beat the Raptors because Brett Brown made a great decision. He subbed well against the Raptors, and when Joel Embiid had 5 turnovers in 2 minutes in the 4th quarter, which was horrible, and almost had the Raptors coming back to win, Brett Brown made a smart move and said, hey, come to the bench. And guess what? We won the game. You can't have 5 turnovers in 2 minutes against a team that has great defense like the Raptors. It's ridiculous. But Brett Brown's starting to get better with subbing. He's starting to get better with matchups. And he's starting to get better with rotation. I'll give him that. And the Sixers are looking way better now than they have. So far in December, they are playing well. And I like what I see. But, the Sixers can be better. And they are getting better. They just have the mindset. The mindset that they had against the Cavs, where they came out firing. Transition. Defense was great. I know it's against the Cavaliers, but how they played against the Cleveland Cavaliers is how they have to play every single game. Because you can't say, oh, this is the Cleveland Cavaliers, we're going to blow them out, and then do it. No, you have to go into a game against the Raptors and say, oh, it's the Raptors, I don't care, we're going to blow them out. They don't have that thought process. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If you look at the Bucks and the Lakers, when you watch them play, they are dominating you. They're saying, I don't care who you are, we're going to win this game. And that's how the Sixers have to play. Because once the Sixers play their game, it's hard to stop them. Against the Raptors, when we won, there was a time where we went up, I want to say 17, or even might have been even 20 points. We were just on a 16-0 run because they were playing lights out, transition offense, run up and down the court, playing great defense. It was just ridiculous. It was great. You can't stop them when they're playing like that. And they need to play like that every single game. Now, as I said earlier before the podcast started, I said the Sixers are my favorite team, which they are, and Ben Simmons is my favorite player, which he is. But I'm telling you right now, the player that I am starting to like, and I hope Brett Brown realizes that he needs to get more minutes, is Matisse Thybulle. For some reason, he's not in the top still leaders list. He will be by the end of the season, though. Because every game he plays, he has 2 or more steals. It's a guarantee he's getting 2 or more steals. His wingspan is 7 foot, and he can knock down the 3 when he's open. And he's starting to come out of shell. He's getting better. So hopefully he continues to grow as a player. He's only a rookie. He's going to be great. Hopefully we don't trade him like we traded Shemet last year. I was so heartbroken when we traded Shemet. I was so heartbroken. But the Sixers are a good squad. They will continue to get better. Like Brett Brown said, he said by Christmas time they will be gelling together way better. And they have been. They are looking very well. But here you heard it on Psychology and Everything Else podcast. The 76ers, best team in the NBA, are 18-7, 13-0 at home. The longest streak for wins at home in the 76ers history is 22-0. I mean, if we can do that, that's great. But the last 3 years for the 76ers, we have started off like that, about 10-0 at home, which is good. But yes, the Philadelphia 76ers are 18-7, 13-0 at home. 5 players on their team with 30-point games. They're number 4 in the Eastern Conference and are number 6 overall in the NBA. Hopefully we continue to get better, and we will. Sixers are definitely going to the playoffs. The only problem we have, well, that's a lie, because the Celtics are good too, the Raptors and the Bucks. I was going to say the only problem we have to worry about is the Bucks, but honestly, we have to worry about the Celtics and the Raptors. But I think we can handle them. It's the Bucks, honestly. The Bucks are looking great. But that's the first episode of the podcast, talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. You heard it first from Psychology and Everything Else about 76ers, the number 1 favorite for the 76ers. They're 18-7, 13-0 at home. Starting off to a good season so far. It's been rough in the middle, but now it's starting to, make it ease its way out. Starting to look great. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at Q Stenson, Facebook Q Elijah Stenson. You heard first Psychology and Everything Else. Peace.